Yo, what's going on out there? It's Larry coming to you again with another edition of the Blazing Sports Report. This report will be related to Week 1 of the NFL, and it was some pretty good games that happened this past weekend. We had some surprises, in my opinion. We had some people who we knew would show up, and we also seen the future of what's going to happen to a team that once was beloved. First, we're going to start off with my player of the week, I guess you could announce it as. And who else would it be but last year's MVP and Tom Brady? Tom Brady came out to Miami and put on the show, throwing for 517 yards through the air, connecting on 4 TDs. Two to Wes Welker, which one was a 99.5-yard TD reception. And he once again showed why he is probably the best quarterback in the NFL as it stands right now. One thing that was not too shocking, in my opinion anyway, was the fact that Kerry Collins came in and messed things up in Indianapolis. I know it's only week 1, and everybody says Kerry Collins is a very consistent quarterback, but when you look at me in the years that I had to put up with him in Tennessee, it's not really nothing to like gawk about. I mean, when we won 11 games, I believe it was 12 games, 12-4. It wasn't because of Kerry Collins. It was because we had a great defense. Let's start out with my game of the week. The game that I feel like defined what is probably going to be. I mean, everyone knows the AFC is probably the best conference that the NFL has to offer. And the one game that stood out to me more than anyone was the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. When you look at that game, it's always a matchup of two of the best defenses that the NFL has to offer. And what I saw was one defense showing up and another defense that didn't know what they were doing. You look at people talk about Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and how this team is getting old. They don't have anything left in the tank. What I saw was a dominating effort. Ray Lewis forcing fumbles, Ed Reed getting 2 interceptions. You had Haloti Ngata right in the middle, causing mayhem as usual. I mean, this Baltimore team still look like it has a lot of kick left. And you can't fault anything with what you've seen with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco came out and put on a good show too. He was very consistent with the ball. And there's nothing that I could really take away from this team right now. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, they have some things they have to work on. I mean, you only put up 7 points. I mean, I know you're a defensive team and everything, but you have to be a little more consistent on your offensive end. I mean, the run game was shut down. I mean, you wonder whether or not you could blame that on such a great defensive outing from the Baltimore Ravens, or if it was a poor offensive execution by the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Baltimore pressured Roethlisberger all night. They got in the backfield. They were able to shut some things down. And you can't really take anything away from them. I really think that they have a chance to actually make a lot more noise than people give them credit for this year, considering they are the proverbial Celtics, if you can use the NBA reference of the NFL. One performance that stood out outside of Tom Brady was that of Cam Newton. Cam Newton came out, Carolina, I mean, it was against the Arizona defense, but still, for him to come out as a rookie and do what he did to the Arizona Cardinals was pretty amazing. He set the rookie record for, what was it, for stats in for passing yards as a rookie quarterback, and that was pretty damn amazing to me. You consider he came out and threw 422 yards, hooking up with Steve Smith for 2 touchdowns, and also getting a rushing TD as well, if I'm not mistaken. But you seen a revitalized Steve Smith with Cam Newton back there slinging the magic bean around. I mean, you can't really take nothing away from this game. I mean, it was against the Arizona Cardinals. You got a new quarterback showing up in Kevin Kolb. But Kevin Kolb looked pretty decent in his debut as well, throwing for 2 TDs, 309 yards through the air. The story of the offseason was the Philadelphia Eagles and how they racked up so many free agents. And what you could take away from that, a 31-13 victory over the St. Louis Rams is pretty damn good. You look at Michael Vick, he didn't really have that great of a game, 14 for 32, 187 yards, not really big passing numbers out of a quarterback. But he did get 2 TDs. LaShawn McCoy did what he did, but Michael Vick also added in his element of rushing for 97 yards. Deshaun Jackson caught 102, got 6 balls for 102 yards, a TD. But the main story that came out of that was the injuries to Sam Bradford, Danny Amendola, and Steven Jackson. You wonder if these guys would be able to rebound from these injuries and be pretty good factor for them in the future. They're saying Sam Bradford might be ready to go come Sunday, but who knows? Steven Jackson they're ruling out, and Amendola with a dislocated elbow. You don't know how long that'll actually take to recover from. But that means that Cadillac Williams will have to step up his game and do something. One team that really shocked me was the Buffalo Bills. They came out and put on a pretty good show. You said they scored 41 points against the Kansas City Chiefs. And Kansas City, they're kind of in a hole right now. They lost Eric Berry for the season with his torn ACL. But Ryan Fitzpatrick was pretty steady, 17 to 25, 4 TDs, 208 yards. May not be a lot of yards, but it's pretty consistent for a quarterback. Fred Jackson, 20 rushes, 112 yards. He came along last year after they got rid of Marshawn Lynch. He can only continue to get better. And Steve Johnson, catching balls. He's their go-to receiver now with Lee Evans going to Baltimore. I mean, there's a pretty good chance that these guys they might be a force to reckon with. They may sneak up on people like Tampa Bay did last year, winning 10 games. I don't know if they'll actually win 10 games, but they may have something going there. To me, the game of the week, in my opinion, I know a lot of people may say that Dallas and New York was the game of the week, but to me it was opening night with New Orleans and Green Bay. What we seen in that particular game was two quarterbacks battling, putting on a clinic as they always do, and also on top of that, you had the two offenses showing what they do best, which is score points. You had Drew Brees come out here, throw for 419 yards, 3 TDs. He looked pretty damn good considering how much they throw the ball. He threw the ball 49 times, 32 completions out of those. I mean, that's a lot of slinging around there. But that final drive, he actually showed why he is one of the premier elite quarterbacks in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers is no slouch either. 27 to 35, that's pretty damn good as well. 312 yards, 3 TDs. I mean, the 3 TDs came in the first half, but you still can't take anything away from him. The one thing that I did take away from that, you really wonder how good is these defenses going to be as the season progresses. I mean, the Packers had probably one of the best defenses in NFL last year, and yet they allowed 34 points to the New Orleans Saints. Now, New Orleans Saints didn't really have a running game when you consider Mark Ingram only gave them 40 yards. He was their leading rusher. But through the air, they tore that secondary to pieces. So I really wonder how good that defense will be able to hold up, considering they weren't able to really get to Drew Brees and pressure him like they were able to do in the past. But who knows? My take from NFL Week 1, I mean, let's see. Atlanta, they struggled against Chicago. Chicago looked really good. Indianapolis struggled. Like I said earlier, they're pretty much in the hole right now. They're probably in the Andrew Luck sweepstakes at this point. Detroit looked good. I mean, Detroit is a team that's probably poised to make some noise this year as well. Just like I said, how Buffalo could sneak up on some teams, Detroit ain't gonna sneak up on anybody because Detroit played teams tough last year, and the only thing that was missing from there was the fact that they didn't have Matthew Stafford. If Matthew Stafford can stay healthy this year and play consistent football, I think that the Detroit Lions have a chance to make the playoffs this year. San Diego looked good against Minnesota. McNabb looked like garbage as usual. Oakland showed why their running game is vaunted. Darren McFadden rushing for 150 yards. The fans, if you didn't see, they really want Tebow to get in there. I mean, a lot of people are giving Tebow like all this grief about not being worth the #1 draft pick. But I look at Tebow and I see the same thing in Tebow that I seen Michael Vick when he came out. Michael Vick was an electric player. He was a runner. He wasn't known as a passer. His first few years in Atlanta, he wasn't a passer. He never was elite quarterback status until he actually showed, in my opinion anyway, until he went to Philadelphia last year and showed that he could actually throw the ball around. Tebow is a proven winner. He's proven it in college. He can put a team on his back. He can lead a team to victory. He's a leader. He's a proven leader. So I think that people need to give Tebow a little bit of slack and show him some support, cut him a little bit of slack. I mean, everybody comes along at different paces. I think that once Tebow gets his chance, he's going to show a lot of people that didn't believe in him why they should have believed in him. I think from week 1 we could take away that it's going to be a pretty interesting year what we have here. Cincinnati got a win over Cleveland, who a lot of people think would progress with Colt McCoy back in quarterback position. San Francisco put up 33 against Seattle. Washington took apart New York, which is shocking to me. The Jets, Revis Island, he secured the game for the Jets essentially by picking off that late interception against the Cowboys and setting them up for the game-winning field goal. New England destroyed Miami, just tore them apart. I don't know what Miami's going to do this year, but New England's defense might have to step up a little bit, allowing 24 points to the Miami Dolphins. This is going to be a pretty interesting year. For next week, I have a feeling that this is going to be a pretty good year in the NFL all around. But as we look ahead to week 2, let's check it out. See if I can give you guys some early predictions, in my opinion, anyway. Kansas City at Detroit. I'm going to pick Detroit against Kansas City. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. They're going to rebound against Seattle. I'm going to pick New Orleans to rebound against Chicago. They're at home in the Superdome, so I think they'll probably get a victory there. Jacksonville and the Jets. The Jets should win this one yet again, so I see them starting off 2-0. Cleveland at Indianapolis. They're in Indy. I'm going to say Indy might get a rebound against this one, considering how Cleveland looked against Cincinnati, giving up 27 points. Let's see. Arizona at Washington. I'm going to take Washington in that one. Green Bay at Carolina. Cam Newton is going to get a good welcoming to the NFL against these Green Bay Packers. Tampa Bay at Minnesota. I'm going to pick Tampa Bay to go in and get a victory in Minnesota. Baltimore at Tennessee. I see Baltimore, the way that defense stepped up and the way that Chris Johnson couldn't show up this past week, especially against the Jacksonville defense. Jacksonville always had a good defense, but I'm still pick Baltimore to get this victory even though they're in Tennessee. Oakland at Buffalo. I'm going to pick Oakland in this one. Dallas and San Francisco. I see Dallas rebounding from the loss against New York on Sunday night. New England and San Diego. It's going to be a shootout between Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady. But like I said, it is Tom Brady. They're at home in Gillette Stadium, so I'm going to get an edge to New England on that one. It's too many weapons to be stopped. Cincinnati and Denver. I can see Denver pulling off one, but I think Cincinnati, Cedric Benson showed me some stuff. They'll probably get the win in that one. Houston and Miami. I see Houston going into Miami and getting the win there. Philadelphia and Atlanta. Michael Vick returns to the ATL, take on his former team for the first time. It's going to be interesting to see how the crowd welcomes him back there. I'm gonna say I will probably pick. I'm gonna pick Philadelphia. I mean, even though it's hard to pick against Atlanta, especially at home in the Georgia Dome, but they couldn't get it done last year when they played the Green Bay Packers in a championship game. So if you can't get it done at home against the Packers and when it matters, I mean, it pretty much, your home field advantage pretty much means nothing, especially where they were taken apart. So I'm gonna take Philadelphia in that one. And the Monday night game, St. Louis and New York, the Giants should win that one. St. Louis, you still got question marks with Sam Bradford's bruised finger. You don't know what's going to happen with Amendola. They're saying that Steven Jackson won't play, so there's some elements missing to that game. So I'm going to pick the Giants to get that one on Monday night. But that has been my little NFL Week 1 preview. I gave you my picks for next week. Comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. I'll holler at you. Peace.